For those with an Aquarius rising, they tend to detach. They tend to let go. They tend to just float above it all and want to not associate with the world. They want to do a thing that they are really invested in, where they understand the discipline of Patrolstria. They understand that when they let go, they can become free. Aquarius risings can let go in profound and utter spiritual ways, and they can find a lot of liberation with letting go. And I think that letting go is such a strong trait of Aquarius energy, because it's about change and revolution and not doing things the way that you normally did them before. It's maybe changing up your life, changing up how you traditionally did things. Maybe an approach of your life didn't work out before, and maybe you're doing it differently the next time. I did this video the first time, and I just could not do it. It was just, I've done many of these podcast episodes in just a lot of pain. A lot of physical pain, a lot of emotional pain, a lot of anxious, tense pain inside my body because there's some insecurity, there's some anxiety. And I realized that when I did the previous video recording of this, I could not do it. And so I think I need to make it, non-negotiable for myself. And I really need to get very firm with myself and say that before I come on and do any of these recordings, I need to be in a calm place. A calm, peaceful place, because I've done too many of these trying to just get through it and just get it over with as soon as possible, because I've just felt insecure for some reason, and I had to stop it, and I had to take care of my own physical, emotional well-being and come back. So hopefully this recording will be better than the previous one. I at this point will not be redoing recordings. I hate redoing recordings over and over again, but I will calm myself before doing these, so my energy will hopefully be very grounded and calm during these recordings, and I think that that's what will work for me at this point in my life. So I'm gonna do it like I haven't done it before. I'm gonna deliver the information like I haven't done it before, and just see how it goes. And I think that meditating can really help me to just accept, just feel without trying to feel, but then there's a tension, because it's not fun to feel tension in your body. It's not fun to feel stress, anxious. It's not fun to feel like lack of enjoyment when you're doing these, when you're doing recordings, and I deserve to feel peaceful, grounded, and I deserve to take my time and enjoy doing these podcast episodes from now on. So from now on, I'm going to take care of myself, do what I need to do, and I'm going to make it non-negotiable, because it's really worth doing. It's really worth investing the time in doing that and making it a commitment. So we will see how this goes. We will see if I regurgitate any information in the past. We will see if I just come up with new information. Who knows? Delving into this video, though, this is a more And I think the better solution would have been to do this in the evening after I wait to see if my channel is okay because of Tuesday afternoons, but for the past couple weeks, my channel hasn't been taken by the AI. I looked it up on Google Gemini. Everything was fine with my channel. I've taken all the precautions, so I should be fine. And I think that meditating helps me just feel more grounded, more secure, more confident in that things will be okay, and just more safe. So, um, uh, uh, um, yeah. So I started this, I intend to finish it. I'm going to take my time, I'm going to say whatever comes to me, even if it doesn't make the most logical sense. Whatever comes out is going to come out during this. This is my video, and I can say whatever I want in my video. So, now this is going to be a unique take on the North Node in Aquarius. In the previous video that I did, I didn't really explain that in depth. So I'm going to take the time to explain it here. This is not going to be unique. I'm not going to be telling you just the typical things that you would understand about the Aquarius rising sign. I'm going to be telling you different things, new things that you didn't previously expect, things that you weren't previously in your awareness before understanding this. Just to do something different, kind of like the video I did last night on the unique Saturn and Pisces. And, by the way, if you're watching this, I so appreciate you. I just want to, just say thank you. My videos and my channel is really stagnant now. I've not been getting views on my videos hardly at all, and hopefully later on in the fall, the views will pick up. Yeah. So, I'm going to do this in an integrated way. I'm going to do this in a calm way. I'm going to do this in a collected way. In a way where I did the spiritual thing that I continue to preach on these videos, to put yourself first and focus on self-care. And I needed to do that. So I did it. I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm doing this. Here I go. So let us start. All right. All right. In fact, I should probably get a water or coffee before I even get into this. In fact, that might be a good idea to get. Let me just pause this and I'll be right back. Alrighty. I think also I get into perfectionism. I have to be perfectly secure, and I'm not always going to be, but at least when I'm calm, I can just allow myself to just feel whatever it is. So, after this, I want to spend this afternoon caring for myself, doing the things that I did when I got out of the hospital, doing the things I wanted to do. Tuesdays are self-care days, I think, because that's the day that I fear my channel getting taken away by the AI. So I don't think it will. I've looked up, I've done every possible thing, and, for the past couple weeks it hasn't. Mercury is out of retrograde, so things are functioning back again. So I just have to trust that whatever happens, it's going to be all okay. So, let's start. Let's get into it. So, When it comes to Aquarius rising signs, you can tell them something very, very nice. And they'll be like, what? How am I supposed to respond to that? If you do something nice for them, they don't know how to reciprocate. They don't know how to acknowledge and receive love. They don't, it's very, very unfamiliar to them to respond to actions that others give them. They may find it difficult to do this because they're such a detached sign. They're such a airy, fairy sign. They are a sign that is cut off from everyone and everything. But, Aquarius is kind of like, it loves humanity, but it doesn't like humans. Sort of like that, if you want to think about it that way. Being detached means disconnected emotionally. They may be aloof. They may be cut off. They may be on an intellectual level, possibly, with going on right that. Now, they can be incredibly loyal to, because remember, Aquarius is fixed air. And in relationships, they can be incredibly loyal. Fixed represents loyalty. Fixed signs are incredibly dedicated to something that they are devoted to inside their heart, inside their soul. They are loyal to whoever they know in their life. Yet when it comes to actually conversing with them and forming conversations with them and talking to them, then that's when they can really reveal another side of them, which is their fixed, rigid belief systems and ideals and values. They can really, really reveal how stubborn they can be. They can reveal how sort of fixed they are in their ideas. Because they are fixed in terms of their ideas. They have an ideal and they hold on to the bitter end. They're not one to let it go easily. They may talk over you, who knows? It's just one possibility. But Aquarius is so stubborn intellectually because it's like, I have my ideals, I have my principles, and I'm sticking to them. And Aquarius can like harshly cut out any other idea that's like foreign to their own because they've researched it, they've thought it out, they've done all the digging to acquire that idea. And so they're not going to let it go easily. And I think that one of the things I said in that first recording and what I was going through in that first video ate me up and I couldn't escape from it, so I had to stop. They are not wrong for their ideals. They are not wrong for, like, Aquarius risings. You're not wrong for having your ideas. Your ideals are not wrong, but they're not the only ones that are right. Your window to the world is not the only window. Your path to go down is not the only path. And that, my friends, is what needs to be remembered. Now, they may stand on the sidelines. They may be the scientists. They may be the ones observing the crowd. In a gym situation, they may be observing the players involved instead of getting involved playing with them, shooting hoops or whatever. And I'm thinking of the very charming scene I witnessed the other day, which is so Scorpio South Node of me, I shouldn't even go any further into that. But so anyway, they don't want to directly get involved in the crowd, directly get involved in what's going on. They stand on the sidelines and they just watch. They just observe. They're just distant. They don't want to get in there, meet people, and engage with others. And therefore, I'm going to talk about how their emotions, emotional connection, intellectual connection may be very, very difficult for them in that regard when it comes to relating emotionally. They're hyper-independent. They want to be individualistic. They don't want to be tied down to anyone. They want to go their own way. They want to do their own thing. They're rebels. So, they want to be free. And freedom to Aquarius is the most important thing. And what if we could all be free to do our own thing, live our own life, be ourselves, go our own way without inhibitions, without having to conform to any structure or anything, that we have to, just follow the rules or whatever. What if we can be totally free to be ourselves? What if we can be who we want to be? Who we desire being? What is true for us to be? Who is true for us to be? So Aquarius is independent. Once you tie and trap an Aquarius in your trap, they will just escape from it. They'll just move away from you and they'll just go on another path entirely. So they may be detached. That's a quality that they have. And I should actually mention that I know of a family member who has Aquarius ascendant. And growing up, she was like the outside looking in. She was kind of felt cut off, kind of like very, very detached from everything. Because that's how Aquarius risings can feel. As Aquarius rising, your rising sign is your early years of life. It's when that's the most predominant. And then when you're in a teenager, you more express more of the qualities of your sun sign. You're more egoic. So, you may be very, very detached. You may be deeply detached. You may just be kind of like that quality, like the outside looking in. Again, on the observing point of view. So you may care so much about the collective, so much about what's going on with everybody, with all of humanity, but not individually. Make your value so much about the collective, but not enough about the individual people involved. You may not be so focused on individuals, on everyone individually, their own identities, who they truly are. When it comes to closeness, intimacy, emotional bonding, that's where there may be some issues. Because you may not be as comfortable and familiar with relationships because they do require that emotional connection and that emotional trust and depth that makes it what it is. And so that's an area of growth for you, is to work on becoming closer to the person, emotionally. So, now they may be very fixed about their ideas. You may be very fixed about your ideas. You may want to open up your mind as well as being fixed. So it's important not to be so rigid that your ideas, but it's important to be open-minded to new ideas and other ideas. Not just being so rigidly stuck on your ideas. Releasing the tight grip on your ideas. Again, going back to what I was saying about them being the ones, so your truth is not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong, but life is dual. There's duality in life. There's multiple roads to go down. There's multiple sides of it. Your truth, what you feel is right, somebody else could feel that something else is right, and that's true as well. I mean, some things are just inherently wrong. Don't get me wrong about that. I think that we all, feel that those things. I'm not cutting it. I'm not, devaluing that or minimizing that. But in terms of what could be subjective, there are more than one. There's more than one truth, and more than one right and wrong, or more than one way of being right. And that's kind of the beauty of life. And so, is that if just there was one truth and one person, one perspective and one opinion and one belief, life would be pretty limited. Life would be pretty darn limited. We would be limited. We would be very, very restricted in our lives if we thought, if we believed that our truth is the only truth. In relationships, opening up to new ideas, but also just in general, if there was just one person with one set of values, one belief, we're all the same. Like, life isn't set up that way. It's meant to, with all the textures and all the different flavors in this melting pot of joy and variety and difference, unity and diversity. And that's the beauty of life. That makes life exciting, interesting, worth living. That's why it's important to be open to all the different colors of the rainbow, all different people from all walks of life. I had a dream about living in a utopian world where everybody was kind and like-minded and treat everybody with respect for their identities and who they are. I had that dream about that last night. So I just thought that was so profound. So you release the tight grip. So, where you can open up to new ideas, new philosophies, new ways of looking at the world. Newness, novelty, variety. The variety is the spice of life. And anyone with, like me, I have dominant Gemini in my chart. I certainly believe that. But how can you be completely strong in your ideas? That these ideas are true for you while holding space respectfully and humbly for others' ideas. I think that this comes from releasing the ego. Like, you don't have to defend and fight and protect. And what if we could live in a world where we didn't feel the need to fight and try to protect our own ideas and values? What if we could all just respect each other and feel safe? We wouldn't be battling and fighting fighting it out. Like, why do we need war? Why do we need to be in battle? Why do we need to fight each other? Why can't we just get along and be diplomatic and harmony and respect each other's own sovereignty, not trying to fight and compete with each other, and get the better of each other. What if we could live in that world? We could all just love one another for who we are. We could close down ammunition factories. What if they could be shut down? What if that could be the case? What if you can imagine all these possibilities, like that song Imagine, world without no world with no heaven or hell or whatever. So I just thought that I'd bring that to your attention. You can balance the collective focus with the emotional focus, where you can be vulnerable in relationships, be vulnerable, connected in relationships, and relationships do require vulnerability. They do require that connection where you're really, really feeling each other's feelings. What I mean by this, okay, excuse me. Okay. Being vulnerable means that you are not afraid to speak to what you need to speak to, and you are humbling yourself, and you're just letting go of needing to be so guarded, needing to be so tight and protect yourself and do all that, and just speak to it without, you may have fear of how it will be received, but you're doing it regardless of any rejection, any criticism. You're just getting things off your chest and really opening yourself up. Vulnerability is emotionally opening yourself up. And relationships acquire that emotional trust and that emotional kindness, that emotional bond, and we can have a connected focus in relationships, where we can be connected to one another in that way. And that's what sort of an area of growth for you, is developing that deep connection. You have a humanitarian focus with emotional connections with others. That's really huge. You can be so focused on the collective and humanity, but what about bonding? What about emotionally connecting with one another? What about really, really understanding each other in that way? You may be progressive, you may think in very innovative terms, and you may think outside of the box. You may think in very unorthodox, very unconventional ways. Think really, really those kind of ways. And you may think in ways that are out of the ordinary from what people expect you to think, from what people expect you to do. You may think in those kind of ways. That may be what'll happen. So you may have that happen where you're where you look at things from different angles. You look at things from different perspectives, and so be very, very intellectually curious. Deeply intellectually curious, or deeply curious. Aquarius is an air sign that's very, very open to ideas and new information. So you can be open to people's ideas, people's perspectives, new ideas, new intellectual things going on. And so you may come across as somebody who wants to create a better, more equal, and just future. Really, really curious about human equality and easing human suffering and helping humanity, helping large groups of people. Valuing future thinking, valuing thinking for the long term. Aquarius can think for the long term, not necessarily the short term. Because we tend to think in the short term, and so how can we think long term with thinking of the future? Like, what do we want for humanity in the future? What do we want for each other in the future. That's what we can really think about and value when it comes to ourselves in that way. Now, you're also not afraid to challenge what is already going on. You're not afraid to challenge it. You're not afraid to challenge what the status quo, basically. Opening up to brand new ideas. You want to revolutionize things. You want to change the games of things. You want to do something else. Do something different than you previously did in the past. You want to you want to do that. I'm kind of getting stuck on this idea here. You're not afraid to challenge what's going on. You're not afraid to break free. You can be innovative and creative. Innovative and inventive when it comes to creating social change. Those are qualities that define you. You want to understand the world better. You want to understand what's going on in the world better. You want to understand life better, humanity better. That's really, really huge for you. You have a deep desire to understand the world in a much deeper, much better point of view. You may come across as an intellectual or an innovator. Somebody who thinks very, very advanced, very, very scientifically, very, very objectively. And an innovator. And, also I just want to talk about trusting the universe really, really quickly here because, you have no control over what God does or what other people do, but trust that whatever God is orchestrating, it's all for your highest good. And I think that will help you ease your anxiety with whatever it is. It's meant for you to evolve to the highest level and become a stronger person. And, God is loving. He would never, take something away for you at the wrong time, in the wrong place, in the wrong way. So, that is also something really, really huge to remember. I talked about trusting the universe in last night's episode on Saturn in Pisces, which you may want to go check out. And I think that episode was also right on time. But an innovator, becoming that kind of a thing. You see things from unique angles, from unique perspectives. And you're humanitarian at heart. You're seen as someone who is not only intellectually savvy and very, very smart, but you're also loving and caring and kind. I think this is so huge because you're not only someone who has all these ideas and very, very intelligent, very, very intellectually bright and all this kind of thing, with knowing things, knowing a lot of things, but you also have that compassion, you also have that humanitarian compassion because you care about humanity and you really care about others. You're open-minded, you're loving in an intellectual sense. You can be open to all the perspectives. Aquarius at best is, I'm open to all the different perspectives, all the different points of view, and I'm allowing space for everyone to have their own perspective. Everyone is entitled to their own perspective and their own truth. So let's talk about your personal values now, sort of getting into the more unique side of this now. Your personal values versus others' values. what you value versus shared values, what you value for the collective, what you value with others, what you value for other people. That's sort of what we're talking about here. So you can create new ideas. You're great at coming up with new ideas, coming up with new innovations, new inventions. You're great at making those things happen. Great at making those things happen, coming up with what you need to come up with for those ideas. Now let's talk about your art and creativity now, because your art and creativity is not necessarily based on pleasing you on the heart center level, pleasing you on that heart and soul level, winning over in that way, but it's about being more intellectual and designed for impressing your intelligence, really being intellectually attractive, impressing yourself on that intellect, mind, knowledge, logic level. That you may create really good books, or really good poems, or whatever you're doing. The art, your art creativity is very intellectual. You may get to know like-minded people more over cyberspace rather than just in real life, because over the internet you can connect to anyone all over the world, and you're only bound to the people in your real life, and they may have very different views, but you can easily find people who are like you from many different places across the world, connect across the world. Like, that's the gift of what the internet can allow us and give us, is that connection to others across different countries, across different continents, states, or whatever, towns. Connecting with like-minded people who have similar views rather than your own, rather than the people in your real life. Because Aquarius is technology, Aquarius is that kind of thing. Your body may also be really sensitive to food. You may be really sensitive to certain types of food. I know that my mom, whenever she travels, her system gets out of whack, whatever, has I mean, a lot of this is very typical for people, is that but your body may be hypersensitive to certain foods, and may want to stick to the same foods over and over again. You tend to stick to the same food over and over again because it feels familiar to you on a physical level, because your body is used to it, because your body can handle it, because your body can tolerate that food. It can tolerate that the effects that food has on your body. It can tolerate how that same food can help you and serve you over and over again. And if you eat another food, your body doesn't like it, you won't continue to eat again naturally. But you get something that it works, and you toward to stick to the same things over and over again, because Aquarius, you're stubborn. You stick to the same things. You're sticking to the same food that your body's used to, that your body knows, that's comfortable for you. Now, even though Aquarius is so idealistic and so optimistic about a future world, it can actually remember, Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn, so the ancient rule of Aquarius is Saturn, and because that's the case, it can be deeply pessimistic about the future. Well, very briefly, because it's stuck in the negative stories of like governments and authorities and people currently right now in their state of being. So what's going on with them, in the current time. That they may have some negativity towards that. And so, you may struggle with following your inner authority. I think that this life you're really working on developing your inner authority, your inner guidance, and trusting that and moving on the path of that. you may try to please external authority, and you may really, really take it personally if they don't like what you're doing. You may try to win over them, get their favor, and impress them because you want to be liked in their eyes, because this is the first stage. But then when you're evolving, really, really learning, like, I will never get enough approval, and maybe I could never impress these people. So you know what? I'm not going to go out and search for all these people to impress. I'm gonna impress and win over my own inner authority. I'm going to trust. I'm going to give myself permission. I'm going to give myself the approval, and I'm the judge of my own self. And if we could live in the world where we are not just dependent upon governments and systems to define our lives, but we are really dependent upon our own inner authority, in our own self, our own moral compass of what is right and wrong, then we can live in a more liberated way. And I think that is so profound. If we can live in the world like that, we can really, really get along with each other and go about the world in really, really great ways. Now, they like to work at home. They're very, very familiar with working at home because they like their home environment. They may stick to their comfortable surroundings. They may stick to what they're used to because they like their comfy slippers and all that. Now, they may take their negative emotions and create something artistic and creative from that space, from that space and that place. They may take their sorrow and create a beautiful Picasso painting out of it. They may create a story out of it, create something. And I think that with art, we can really, really create something like that. We can really, really create, art and beauty from our emotional states. Like, artists create all these, artistic things from their emotional place. They channel their emotions into what they create, artistically. So I think that is so important to understand as a little bit of a nuance. Like, this is a nuanced video, and this is not the typical video on the ascendant in Aquarius. So they may they may judge the thing. They may say, oh, I don't like that, and I don't like this, and they may judge these things, and they may make the things that they like, whatever doesn't get in the pile of stuff that they judge and criticize, and those are their values. Those are what they value. Those are what matters to them, and what means the most to them, and what is important to them. And they criticize governments and institutions, and they judge it based on what's happening in the moment, rather than past or future occurrences and those kind of things going on, because they want to they want to see, okay, what's going wrong here? What could be fixed here? What could be innovated? What could be changed here? And so, they may criticize these governments for being too top-down, authoritarian, that's what I meant to say. If I can get that out. They may criticize these governments for being stuck in the past, and they want to change it. Of course, but what can we do to change the future of humanity? What can we do that's ahead of our time? Ahead of all of our time, and really, really live out that life in all those kind of all those kind of powerful ways. So, that's really, really huge for them, in that regard. Now, they want to know the why behind money specifically, why they're making it, why they're investing in it, why they're spending their money, and, why they're making the money, what's the overall reason for doing that. And they may be more, they may be more, they may be more selfless towards it. They may not invest into a lot of what the material things that they want, and all the kind of things that they want on that, physical, tangible level. They may not buy the nice dress, nice shoes, nice, clothing, or whatever they're doing, but they may want to spend it on, for humanity. Really having they want to have a purpose with it. They want to have serve a higher purpose, be part of a higher plan. Now, they may absorb information really, really quickly, very, very fast. By taking a lot of information like that, they may be very, very blunt and direct. However, they think the overall ideas out. They think their overall ideals out very, very well. And so just they may say it in a way that may be more impulsive and blunt, but their principle, their overall ideas are very, very well thought out. And it's Aquarius, so we're thinking about them thinking about, mulling over this and deciding it over and over again, thinking their ideas really, really carefully over a long period of time with what those ideas are, and really being confident and being self-assured in these ideas. Now, they may challenge why certain subjects exist. They may want to know the why behind everything, behind why is this the way it is, why is this things, and they want to challenge things and question things. Because they don't want to go along with the status quo. They don't want to go along with what everything is set up to be and how it is. Now, they are also Saturn ruled. So they may stay within the same structures, but they don't necessarily do the expected and some unconventional things within those structures. They won't just create a whole new thing. They will stay within those structures and break out of it because they want freedom. They want to break out. They want to, rebel. They want to change humanity. They want to be futurists. They want to be mavericks. And they're going to do things differently within those structures. World position. They don't really want to be well known. They want to be kind of, in the shadows. Not really, having other people, know them. They don't want to be in the public spotlight. Very, very, easily able with that. They may be very, very predictable. They may be very, very predictable. They may do the same things over and over again while changing at the same time. Because remember, Aquarius is fixed, but also it's about change and taking your life. Because Uranus is kind of like that, hey, wake up, change your life, do something differently, pack all your bags, let's go to, France or travel somewhere new, or Aquarius brings sudden change, and Aquarius wants change. Aquarius is about revolutionizing change, but yet they're fixing, so they change on their own terms when they feel it's right to change, and they don't like it when others try to change them, or when the universe try to change them. They want to be in charge of their own destiny, and they want to change themselves and their own life. Where only they themselves can change their mind, change what their beliefs are, change their their life with what they're doing. They're not allowing anyone else to change it for them. Now, they may be very, very comfortable with what they know, with their familiar comfort zone, with what they're already familiar with, and all that kind of thing. But actually, they may not like to try new foods or new things. They may like to stick to what they know. They may like to stick to the foods that they know that work for them, that that are comfortable for them, and they're a fixed sensitive or very stubborn, but they will change when they feel that it's right to change. And ultimately, you can't change a fixed sign's mind. They're going to change like one little increment, then another little increment until they change on their own terms in their own way. So that's what I have to say about, well, 50 minutes in. I can't believe that it's been that long already. So that has been this episode on the Ascendant Aquarius. I hope that you enjoyed this. This was much better than the other video. I could not go on. I just couldn't. I absolutely couldn't. I had to stop, take care of myself, come back. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I wanted to spare you that other video that I did by doing this one, and I think that it turned out a lot better than the other one. It was pretty bad, I'm telling you. But so I hope that you enjoyed this, found some value, but I hope that you found it unique and interesting. And if you did like this video, subscribe to my channel, do all the things, join this community. Please join this community. I want to build a very huge, loving, like-minded community of authentic souls who respect each other's individuality, who are completely true and sovereign within themselves and soul-centered beings. So that's the kind of community that I want to create on this channel. And I hope that you will want to be part of this community. And if it sounds good to you, if you're in a spiritual path, if you like deep, insightful astrology, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to miss out on the future videos, and I will see you on tomorrow's episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast, which will be about a topic that is not astrologically related. It will be about Lammas. It will be about the celebration August 1st, the pagan celebration, the midsummer celebration. So I want to go in depth about that because I think that it's so interesting to delve into these Sabbaths one by one as we go through the year. So I want to do this one. I was going to do Beltane, but I was I was doing other videos at the time, and I didn't get to that one. But anyway, I'm doing Lammas now. I'll probably be celebrating it, so can't wait to deliver you that video next time. And anyway, take good care, everybody. Bye for now.